Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you again for those of you who have dialed in already. We're going to be starting in about 1 minute. 1 minute. Thank you.
Rent to care. Sound open.
Okay, it's now 8:05, so let's get started. We are expecting more people to join us. My name's Richard Lowe, and I'm delighted to be joined by Joe Lodder from J&W Properties. He is one of the directors and owners of the development called SnowDog Village that we'll be covering tonight. Just really to give you a brief overview, tonight, as you can see from the first slide, we're going to be covering Japan, but focusing very much on Hokkaido and then into Niseko and the development called SnowDog Village. So that's where we're going to be zooming in on. The first part, though, I'm going to be just covering a little bit more about some of the drivers of, Japan. It's a favorite country, I think, by many Asians. I'm based here in Singapore and have lived here for many years. I think we've got people from Hong Kong that will be on the call as well. And it certainly is a very popular tourist destination for so many reasons. In my opinion, it's probably the most unique first culture country anywhere in the world, and really is a very unique place to go travel and experience. So for anybody who's not been there, definitely it's well worth a visit. What we'll be doing is looking at key drivers. So looking at what's been happening after COVID, the return of tourism, the connectivity to Hokkaido and Niseko. And again, looking at how that's impacting Niseko as an international both summer and winter resort. One of the things that we're really excited about is the opportunity to invest and buy one of the properties at a very significant discount. We are offering, as we've mentioned in some of the emails that we've communicated, anywhere between 10 to 26% discount, and that doesn't even include the huge change in the exchange rate, which we'll go into a little bit more detail soon. And then at the end, we'll be having some Q&A, so we'll really encourage you to be asking questions. So you might want to jot them down. So if we don't cover it during the actual webinar presentation, you can ask it. Now, at the bottom right-hand corner of your screen, you should see like a chat box. And what we'd encourage you to do is put your questions into the chat box, and then myself and Joe will be delighted to share and answer those questions to the best of our ability. So let's get into the presentation, and let me just put it into the full screen mode. So hopefully then you can see it even clearer. So Japan's a country that I've been fortunate to travel to on numerous occasions. I haven't yet been to Hokkaido or Niseko, but I am planning on going there very soon in early December of this year. But we know Japan is an extremely dynamic city. This could easily be, and it might well be, a scene from somewhere like Shinjuku in Tokyo. The lights and the buzz of Tokyo is the largest city in terms of population, which is something like over 30 million people these days, and growing all the time. So it's known as the land of the rising sun. But what are some of the things that are driving Japan, and why put your hard-earned cash into a country like Japan? Well, it's got excellent business environment. It's been voted as the second in the world in terms of legal and administration systems. It's a very livable society. It's a stable and efficient infrastructure. In fact, first in the world for public transportation services. So anybody who's been there and been on the trains, it really is quite incredible when you look at the number of people and the number of trains, and the fact that they pride themselves on being bang on time, day in, day out. It's a very fertile and trusted free market. It's the third largest economy in the world. And from a branding point of view, it's actually the best branded country in the world. It's also the most recognized country in terms of its branding. At the moment, we're seeing a 20-year low in the exchange rate between currencies like the US dollar and the Japanese yen. As a travel destination, it really is on the top of many people's list to travel to. It has a steady property market, although in some of the major cities, the capital growth has been fairly flat. Interestingly enough, in Niseko, prices have been rising significantly. And one of the nice benefits of Japan, as a foreign investor, you can actually own 100% freehold property, which is very rare in this part of the world. So Niseko, sometimes described as the Aspen of Asia. So why Niseko, and why invest in a property in this part of the world? Well, it really is the resort that people think of when they think of a ski resort in Asia. I've, in my younger days, spent 3 winter seasons in Switzerland, where I worked as a ski guide. And again, when I ask people about skiing in Asia, they think of, well, maybe I'll go down to New Zealand, albeit that's not in Asia, you know, but really Japan, maybe to a lesser extent Korea, but really the #1 branded international resort that attracts people literally from all over the world is Niseko. And why is that? Well, I think it's partly the Japanese experience and the hospitality and the uniqueness of Japan as a country and a culture. But for those people who are skiers, it's renowned for having some of the best powder snow anywhere in the world. And I seem to remember Joe mentioning that one of the reasons why it benefits from such good fluffy white powder snow, as you can see in the photo here, is that the icy cold winds that are coming off the Siberian mainland in Russia really creates a very cold air, and means that the snow, when it falls, is regular, but also very, very light and fluffy. Niseko and Sapporo is the choice. It looks like what will be the #1 choice for the 2030 Olympics, which obviously is going to bring more tourism, more infrastructure. It's going to place Niseko and the Sapporo more on the international map, which again can only be a positive thing for an investor. And typically what we've seen is wherever an Olympics has taken place, generally speaking, real estate prices have increased over time. Japan is the most booming, Japan's most booming economic town. As I mentioned, some of the other cities have been fairly flat when it comes to growth and capital growth in real estate, but Niseko really is apart because of its international attraction, bringing in the international tourists and investor, and has become now a prime tourist destination with literally millions of people coming in to Niseko and Hokkaido. So one of the major changes that we've seen, really, especially in the last 3 years, is the exchange rate between many of the key currencies like the US dollar, the Singapore dollar, the Hong Kong dollar, and it's made an amazing difference. In fact, if I go to the next couple of slides, I took this chart. Let me just see. Sorry, that's the Singapore dollar one. I took this chart just a couple of days ago, and if we look towards October 2020 to present date, the change in the exchange rate is about 40%, which basically means the Singapore dollar has a 40% stronger buying power against the Japanese yen within the last 3 years, which is ultimately almost like getting a 40% discount on the purchase price of the property. In fact, when we look at the US dollar, and we go back to a similar time frame in 2020, actually the exchange rate has gone up or improved almost 50%. So this is really an amazing window of opportunity, whereby if you want to invest into an asset class in Japan, in Japanese yen, and have a beautiful holiday home that can be rented out when you're not using it and well managed, then again, it really is worth considering. Now, when we look at tax, we're not tax advisors and we're not licensed to give tax, but we can give you a high-level overview of the tax implications when investing into a property in Japan. And when I compare with many other countries, again, I'm here in Singapore, I've lived here for 28 years, the taxes in certain areas really can kill the deal. Such as there is something called additional buyer stamp duty, and any foreigner, whether you're a foreigner living in Singapore or a foreigner living outside of Singapore wanting to buy a property in Singapore, will now have to pay an additional stamp duty of 60% on top of the basic stamp duty. So when we look at Japan, the acquisition costs, which includes the equivalent of the stamp duty and legal fees and so on, is somewhere between 2 to 3%. So an absolute fraction of the cost. For those of you in Hong Kong, I believe that, the stamp duties have gone up significantly there, and especially for foreign investors. And when it comes to income tax is on a sliding scale between 5 to 45%. Now, if you don't have any other forms of income in Japan, then you're much more likely to be at the lower end of 5% income tax as opposed to the upper end. Holding costs include fixed asset tax, city planning tax, which is approximately 0.4 to 0.6% per annum, so a fairly low fixed tax there. And the capital gains tax, if you are holding a property for 5 years or more, then the capital gains tax drops from 30% down to 15%, which again is a lot lower than many other first world countries. So in general, although no one likes to pay taxes, it's relatively tax friendly when we compare with other countries. Now, connectivity and how to get to both Sapporo and to Niseko. So Sapporo has an international airport which connects with many domestic and international destinations. So you can fly direct into Sapporo. There is a new runway at Sapporo Airport that is in the pipeline, which will allow larger and more planes to come in, especially longer haul flights. There's also a new Shinkansen rail connecting Tokyo to Sapporo in 4.5 hours, which is being built as we speak, and is getting prepared again for the Winter Olympics in Sao Paulo in Niseko, which means you're going to be able to connect from Tokyo to Sao Paulo in 4.5 hours. That's connecting, as I mentioned, the largest city in terms of population of any city in the world, 30 million people within 4.5 hours of Niseko. And it's great that there is actually a stop at a nearby town called Kuchen, which is about a 10-minute drive from Niseko and Hirafu. There's also a new highway from Sao Paulo to Niseko, which will reduce the car travel time between 30 to 60 minutes. Now, that might look quite a difference, 30 to 60 minutes. It really does depend on whether you're traveling in the winter when there's lots of snow and then typically having to drive at a slower speed. And in the summer times, it'll be closer to 30 minutes. So, you could be flying from Hong Kong in 3.5, 4 hours. And within, an hour to an hour and a half, you could be into Niseko. So let's have a look at some of the data when it comes to tourism and travel numbers. So before COVID, we could see that there was an increase in tourism into Niseko from 841,000 people in 2011 to 3.29 million people in 2017. Now, like many countries, the borders closed, and in October last year, Japan was, I think, one of the last countries to reopen its borders to international travel. We started to see a significant surge. And now that we're coming towards the winter season, we do expect that the travel will resume. And if anything, potentially rebound even stronger, because so many people have not been able to travel to this kind of destination during COVID. Domestic flights was up to 22.7 million people just within Japan. Sao Paulo serves also 33 different airlines, visiting 14 different countries to 23 different cities. And there are additional flights being connecting to European cities as well. And here we see a map of where Niseko is in Hokkaido and in its relation to Sao Paulo and the nearby airport. So we can see here, this is a slide that was taken from C9 Hotels, which is a consultancy company that specializes in the tourism and real estate industry. And what they've come up with is data that is from the beginning of this year up to October. So in the wake of this, I'm going to just read the first line actually. In the wake of Niseko's official border opening in October 2020, the area has witnessed a substantial influx of visitors, reaching 2.6 million year to date in 2003. So this is just Niseko. It's not Hokkaido figures. These are Niseko figures. So there's been a sharp rebound showing a 64% increase year on year in terms of the number of tourists now visiting Niseko. And winter season hasn't even started yet. And so we will be anticipating that figure will sharply rise even further. Now, I've mentioned that Sao Paulo is favorite for the 2030 Winter Olympics. And again, this can only add to the attraction, the familiarity of Sao Paulo. The Niseko ski run is planned for many of the actual ski events, including the downhill. And you'll see later the actual downhill run literally can be seen from the back of the SnowDog Village property. So as mentioned earlier, typically what we do see is when an Olympics is being built, infrastructure improvements, which we can see with the Shinkansen being built as we speak to connect Tokyo to Sao Paulo and Niseko in 4.5 hours, but many, many other infrastructure projects in and around Sao Paulo, the increase in tourism and just people visiting and seeing it for the first time and seeing what a wonderful place it is. So let's have a look at some other well-known branded ski resorts around the world. So we've got places like San Moritz in Switzerland, where the average price per square meter, if you're buying into that resort, is just over 40,000 US dollars. Courchevel in France is over 35,000 US dollars per square meter. Here we have, excuse me, I'll just need to move that. Aspen, one of the most famous resorts in the USA at over 33,000 per square meter. Val d'Isère at 29,000. Vail in the US at 27,000. And then when we look at Niseko, we're at just over 14,000 US dollars per square meter. So as a international branded ski resort, we can see that at the moment, the price per square meter is significantly lower. And when we think about Asia and the population in Asia, the growing, and I should say hugely growing middle-class society that aspires to travel and aspires to doing new opportunities and having family experiences. Well, if you're going to think about a ski vacation with the family, well, why travel to Europe, which is a lot further to travel to, when you could travel a few hours to Niseko? So I really am very confident that as Niseko continues to grow as a branded summer and winter ski resort, and a growing population of middle class, more affluent people, then this is only going to again boost Niseko from an investment case and its real estate figures. So I've mentioned about Niseko. I mean, most people sort of associate it with skiing, but it really is both a summer and a winter vacation place. In fact, I know Joe has mentioned to me several times that he even prefers going in the summertime when the temperature, is a mild, temperate climate of 23, 24, 25 degrees, relatively cool compared with places like Singapore and Hong Kong in the summer, with lots of different activities. So it's not just a ski resort, but of course that is a major attraction. But for those of you who may be on the call today that are looking for both a summer and winter holiday home investment, well, it's not just skiing. There's a whole load of different activities, from cross country, hiking. There are many onsens, which is a very unique Japanese experience. Reindeer sleigh in the snow, again a very unique experience there. Snowshoeing, well, for those of you not familiar, that's like when you put a couple of tennis rackets on your feet and you can walk in deep snow much more comfortably. So it's a different form of hiking. And when we look at some of the summer activities, it's a destination for triathlon. It's got golf courses very close by, rafting and canoeing, mountain climbing, hiking, cycling, fishing, camping, sightseeing, boat tours. The food is well renowned in Japan, and particularly the seafood in Hokkaido, because of its proximity to the coast as well. So it really is not just a winter resort, but an all-round resort. And again, when that is viewed from a commercial perspective and a rental perspective, it means that it's not just the winter season that your property would get rented out. It could be all year round, and particularly in the peak seasons of summer and in winter. So other activities, horseback riding, literally just driving around Hokkaido. It's stunningly beautiful, well known in the summer for its fields of flowers. In the autumn time, the trees turning all sorts of different colors. So again, it really has become an all year round resort. And here's just a few photos that hopefully whet your appetite with regards just, the sheer beauty of Niseko and Hokkaido in general. So here we see a great shot of a snowboarder in what looks like absolutely virgin powder snow with a huge wake of it flying off the back of his board. And here we can see it really is like a winter wonderland during the winter season. Another shot of a skier with Mount Yote in the background, an absolute classic volcanic shaped mountain, which is well known for in Japan, particularly Mount Fuji closer to Tokyo. You can see again Mount Yote in the background there. So, you know, again, it's almost like being one with nature, skiing through some of these beautiful fluffy powder snow pieces here. And here we see in the summertime a beautiful panoramic view with some of the lakes in the foreground, and I believe Mount Yote in the background. And again here showing a paddy field and Mount Yote in the background. So big brands are investing into Niseko. YTL, for those of you who are familiar with the Malaysian developer, owns significant land in Niseko and have built both the Hilton and the Ritz-Carlton, and I think they may be involved with some other hotel brands as well. So this already puts a great deal of confidence when you've got these kind of major brands opening resorts, and these kind of hotel brands do their due diligence and research based on tourism figures to ensure that if they are going to the owner's going to build a hotel and they're going to put their management to it, that it's going to make it worthwhile. So some of the other brands that are in the pipeline are some of the ones that we have here. So again, well-known 5-star branded hotels. So at this point, I'm going to hand over to Joe, and the next few slides is really going to go and zoom much more into both Niseko, Hirafu, and SnowDog Village, which obviously Joe, being from J&W Properties, a director and owner and developer of this property, knows the area and the development intimately. So let me hand over to you, Joe, and it's all yours for the moment.
Yeah, thank you, Richard, and welcome, and thank you everyone for joining us this evening. Just the last slide, just to explain that the Hilton Hotel, the Ritz-Carlton are both built and completed. Rosewood, which is under One World Group, is going to be completed, I think, probably by the end of next summer. And those 3 hotels are literally 5 minutes away from where SnowDog, the property that we're going to be showing you. Park Hyatt is Park Hyatt has been completed as well, and that's at another one of the areas called Hanazono, which is a different area. And W Hotel, Moxie, are both in plans and would have started. One of them, Moxie, would have started had COVID not come along. And Banyan Tree is something that's in the plan for another area as well. So Niseko Village, which is where we're about to talk about, if we go into the map, Niseko Village, which is the map where you can see the arrow where the SnowDog logo is where Rosewood, the Ritz-Carlton and the Hilton are all located. And so to explain this is one mountain called Anampuri, and there's 4 resorts that come under one ski pass called Niseko United. So you buy a ski pass and you can ski all of them, and they're connected at the top, so it's easy to ski all 4. And so Niseko Village is where we are with the 3rd one. So the first one is Hanazono, which is, as you look at the map, it's on the right. The second one is called Hirafu, which is the big one that was the original sort of main one that everybody knows about. It's much more commercialized, much more, you know, the properties are much closer together. We got Niseko Village, which, as it says, is a lot more like a village, and then we have Anampuri, which is again a smaller area. but all four of them are great for skiing. And the beauty is you buy one ski pass and you ski all four places. We go to the next, Richard. Yeah. So here, as we come in, this is Niseko Village, and actually it gives you a good idea where the hotels are. So as I said, the Hilton, Ritz-Carlton, and One World, which is under Rosewood Group, they are all, well, Ritz and Hilton are completed. Rosewood is nearly finished, and W Hotel is in the, well, the planning has been gone through. So as we look, you can see just on the left there, SnowDog. So as you come up the main road, the ski slopes, you can see as you right up in front of you, and they go all the way up to the top. And this is one of the main ski slopes where they're going to hold the Winter Olympics. And you can see that where you can ski down, and our property is literally the property that's right next to where the ski slopes are. So you can ski through the woods to there. So if we go on to the next slide. And as we pan in, you can see a little bit closer. So SnowDog are the property on the right, where you see the three darker properties, and the other ones are houses called Koa, and they were sold at around $2 million each, and there's a few more to be built. They've got planning for another 4, but these 4 are going to be around $3 to $4 million US. We're not exactly sure, but they're going to be a lot more expensive. So we share the entrance with it, and there's an internal road that we share with them. So when you're looking at us as a property, we're called SnowDog Village, and it is really a little village that has been set up with, where we're lucky is that Koa, who are owned by Kerry Group, they're really building some very beautiful houses that we're sharing with. So it's really helping bring up the pricing of it will help with the pricing of our properties as well. Also, the red roofed house just next to it is a little very cool little cafe restaurant, and then we have an in-house restaurant with SnowDog. So there's food within very close walking distance. There's actually another place called Black Diamond Lodge, which you can eat at as well, which is again just outside of that picture, but it's there. We go to the next. Go to the next one. So here we are, we're looking across, we're looking up, and that the arrow shows where the ski slope is, and also where the Olympic downhill will be. So you can see you're literally going to be able to watch from outside, from your bedroom window, or most of the apartments from the kitchen. Great views. You can also see, if you look closely, you can see there's a ski where someone skied in through the woodland. It is very easy to ski through there. I mean, you need to be a bit more than a beginner, but it's not a difficult ski through, and so you can literally see down the slope where you see the Olympic rings, and then down through to literally to your door, and grab a beer for lunch and a sandwich, and then head off again. Should we go to the next one? And here you are looking. Here's someone looking up and pointing to the actual ski slope where the Olympics will be. So that's just to show you that actually this is from the bedroom, and what a great view you have of. So if you wake up in the morning, you can literally draw your curtains and watch people skiing down the slopes, or get out quick and be the ones being watched coming down the slopes. We go on to the next. And again, the reason for this picture, it may look a bit sparse because actually, but this area is all the woodland area, but you'll see to the right is where the village is. And so although it looks a bit sparse, you can see how amazing the views are. And so from the sitting room, this is the view that you have of Mount Yote, which is absolutely stunning. but what I love about this is what I love about SnowDog, and what the reason that we originally bought the land there was the fact that it is a quiet, it's a village location. However, you're still close to things and you still have neighbors, but you're just that little bit away. It's living in the countryside. It's living in a proper village. There's not high-rise buildings. It's a great community. People are very friendly there. If you've got your children there, you can have places to play. If you brought a dog, which some people do, we're the only dog-friendly hotel in Hokkaido, well, fully dog-friendly hotel in Hokkaido. So we do have owners who bring dogs with them and stay for the whole summer. And so the dogs have all of this space to run around, which obviously they don't get in Singapore or Hong Kong. And as you can see, there's the red building. That red building is called Black Diamond, where there is another restaurant. So you can see within a very close proximity, there's 3 restaurants, and then there's a number of more restaurants in a place called Milk Kobo, where there's another 4. And then of course you've got all these hotels that have come up that are going to have really high quality restaurants and nice bars to go to as well. So there is everything there, but it's just not on your doorstep, so you don't get the noise. You have the peace and quiet of being in the countryside, yet you're skiing, you're walking distance to these things, amenities, and it's a very comfortable home from home experience. We'll go to the next, Richard. Yeah, I think Richard's I think you're gonna come in and talk on this. But just quickly, as you look at here now, where these where we're looking at now, we have that. This is an older photograph. This is where Koa is. We shared the road with Koa, and the $2 million houses they're just really beautiful houses that really add to the look and the feel and the value of the area. And yeah, and at night there is night skiing, and you can see, so even if you don't want to go night skiing, you can sit, you can watch people ski down the slopes from your apartment, which is really cool because the lights are all on and you can ski at night. So the skiing it's made so you can ski as much as the slopes as much as possible. And obviously the other beauty thing that Richard did talk about, the snow is so soft that when you're a beginner, it's so comfortable. My wife, she'd never skied before. She'd never seen snow until I took her there the first time, and she just couldn't believe it. And then we skied, and normally when you start, you're waking up and you're really sore, and she wasn't having any of that because the snow was so soft. And then if you're an expert skier, you've got all this incredible off-piste skiing, which is monitored off-piste, and it's amazing. And you're skiing literally through, it's just, they call it champagne snow, and it literally is. It's like skiing through champagne, and all the snow just coming up, and it doesn't start like you get in Europe and other places. It's just the most incredible skiing experience. Highly recommend. So yeah, we're very proud of what we're doing at SnowDog. We're very proud. This is in the summer. Again, like you said, you have barbecues outside, and and the reason we've become we've become an all-round destination. And I apart from, there aren't many places that have. The Hilton is one of them, and we are definitely another one of them that has become an all year round destination. And partially the reason is because people come here, stay, they get, in the summer they have they really have the country feeling. You're looking out the window and you see foxes, you see other animals, birds of prey, just incredible quiet experience. And of course the weather is perfect. And this gives you a little idea of the if we play this video.
Actually, Joe, it's not a video, it's just a screenshot there, sorry.
Okay, sorry. Okay, so this just shows you the forest. I mean, this is where you ski through in the winter. And this road actually leads you to the slopes as well, which is only like 100 something meters. And actually in the background across there, you can see some tennis courts, and there's tennis courts nearby for the summer. I mean, when just going back, there's at the top of the road there, there's a not going back, you can just stay in. There's a riding school, so you can, there's a riding school to go there. And in the summer, there is so much to do. I'm a runner, and you can't beat the place. Taking a bike out around the roads, it's very safe, because no one drives fast, and the roads are in very, very good condition. And so you have this, it's amazing. The views are fantastic. The farmland's amazing. The wildlife is incredible. And yeah, I really highly recommend the summer as well. And it's something that we've really worked on improving. And this is a great picture, because actually you can see, I think if you press it one more time, there'll be an arrow. You can literally see that's where we are, and you can ski just literally straight down, straight into through the wood into SnowDog. We are the closest property that you can buy that isn't owned by YTL, who own the mountain. So those properties are the likes of the Ritz, the Hilton, which you can't buy. So it literally is the closest property you can have to the ski slopes. And as we talked about, Upashi Seta, which means snow dog in Ainu, Ainu being the local indigenous community of Hokkaido. And yeah, we have an in-house restaurant, and the focus has been very much keeping everything Japanese. Niseko has been a bit renowned for being kind of international or non-Japanese, but because we've actually got our main, particularly in the summer, our main source of income comes from local community, comes from the Japanese tourists. We've really focused on having all of our staff Japanese, and our restaurant are very much a Japanese focused restaurant as well. So yeah, it's a great place to eat. It's a great atmosphere, and it's in-house. You can just walk out your apartment to it. So yeah, it's been very popular. We own another restaurant called Rakuichi Soba, which is probably Hokkaido's most famous restaurant, but that has a 2-year waiting list. So so we've got a couple of restaurants there as well.
Great, lovely. Well, thanks for that, Joe. And I know you're going to be joining back in a moment. Let me move forwards with the next few slides. So here again, a night shot of SnowDog Village. Let me move through, though, to actually show you some internal photographs, because if you hadn't already realized, this is a completed development. So there is no development risk. The season will be starting in December for the winter season, of course. And these are fully furnished apartments ready to go. So you've got no development risk. You can use it immediately, start getting a rental income. And basically what Joe and the developer is doing is selling off the last units in SnowDog Village at an amazing discount, primarily because they've got their eyes on another site, and like a lot of developers would like to move on into the next one. So there is a real window of opportunity. And as I mentioned earlier, the apartments that are on sale in Block C at the moment are discounted anywhere between 10 to about 26%. And that's before factoring in the difference in the exchange rate, which I'd shown earlier, has also changed between 40 to 50%. So when you marry the discount together with the exchange rate, and if you actually couple that with the price of building today compared with the price of materials and labor prior to COVID when this was built, it would not be possible to build at the same price. I mean, building and construction costs have gone up globally in and around 30 to 40%.
Let me just explain. It would cost more money to build the property, buy the land, build the property, than we are selling at today. The cost of build's gone up 40%. Land has gone up 500%.
Yep.
Yeah.
So thanks, Joe. I mean, and this is why this window of opportunity, when we look at the discount, the exchange rate, and now if you're building today, the cost of purchasing land and construction, there is just no way that you could actually buy this kind of quality property in this location at this price. So this is an example of a 1-bedroom unit, which is approximately 17.5% discount off the list price. And I must say, the list prices are genuine. We haven't just blown up these discounts to make it look super sexy and misrepresent. These are genuine discounts from the list prices that were available earlier this year. So I'll just scroll through some of these photos. You can see the amount of snow through the window there. So again, for any snow lovers and skiers, it really is a little bit of heaven. There are several 2-bedroom units available, and again, depending on which one, the discount is between about 10 to 20%. Again, you can see, they are fully furnished, ready to move in if you wanted to potentially live there. But for those people who are wanting to have a holiday and rent them out, they're fully functional and ready to go. And here's a nice one for the 2nd bedroom with a decent sized bunk beds for potentially family and children as well. You can see
I just want on the bunk beds just quickly. Those bunk beds are big enough for someone who's 6'4", and my friends have stayed in them who are 6'4" and had a very comfortable night's sleep. Just so they are full size adult bunk beds.
Well, that's very relevant, because in my days when I lived in Hong Kong many years ago, my 2nd bedroom was literally 6 foot long, and I had a friend who stayed with me once who was 6'3" and literally had to put his legs out the window if he wanted to fully stretch out. So and Japan is often known for being sort of petite and small size, so that's definitely a decent sized bunk bed. So here we see a lovely open plan kitchen, living and dining area. Certainly lovely wooden flooring there as well. So this is a 2-bedroom and a loft and a studio, so a very unique unit here. And there are 1 or 2 units that have an adjacent in sort of like a connecting studio. So when you look at this, it has a lot of flexibility. You could be renting it out as 2 separate units. It could be that you decide, who knows, to have an extended stay or live in one of the units and rent the other unit out. It might be that 2 separate families, and you do want to have some level of privacy between the 2. So it really has a great deal of flexibility, this particular unit. And we can see here to the right hand side part of the loft, which is a fairly decent size loft area that's very usable space, as long as you don't have vertigo. Okay, and bedroom. And this is actually the attached studio to the 2-bedroom unit. And here's the penthouse, which is a very good size 3-bedroom unit, which has a 26% discount, which is quite unbelievable. And this is just some of testimonials from people that have stayed, both Japanese guests as well as some of the foreign guests. And as Joe mentioned, the name suggests SnowDog Village. It is a very dog-friendly place, and obviously easier for people who are living in Japan to take their dogs, but it is possible. And I think, Joe, if you can share with me, there are certain airlines and companies that specialize in people being able to fly and take their dogs, aren't there?
Yeah, I mean, from Hong Kong, I'm not 100% sure from Singapore, but from Hong Kong, it's very, very easy. In fact, so easy. I mean, my business partner takes his dog for the summer. They go for the winter as well. They've got a passport and they fly with Cathay, and it's a very simple process. It's a bit tricky the first time, but the second time, And then I know there's private plane companies that take groups of dog owners to Hokkaido like 3 or 4 times a year, called Pet Life, I think the company's called. They stay at SnowDog as well. And so they fly their dog. The owners fly with the dogs on a private plane, and the dog flies with them, and then they get off the plane and go through with a passport just the same as anyone else would. Yeah, so yeah, it's very easy to get back and forth with that. I mean, we do have it's also been an incredibly good income generator for our owners, because being the only dog-friendly hotel in Hokkaido, it's meant that we've really grown particularly for the summer, a domestic market. So the people who stay there, they also pay extra, obviously, for their dogs. So it's like having a little bonus. And believe it or not, dogs cause no problems. They all have to be vetted as well. So there is a bit of a criteria. But the dogs cause zero. We've never had an issue of a dog making any form of mess in a hotel. It's only ever humans. So
okay.
Yeah,
thanks for sharing,
it's not
Joe.
something I have any problems with.
So Joe, if you could just continue for the next
slide
slides
go
as
through
well.
this. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So to give you SnowDog Village, that's the property that we're talking about. It's a skiing property, and we're selling remaining units. The reason we're selling those units is because we've got 2 more projects that we're looking to start selling and start developing. So we're looking to fundamentally clear the decks, I suppose, on the units that we've got. So we're offering them at an incredible rate to make that happen. Upashi Seta is our in-house restaurant, which we showed you. And then Vacation Niseko is our partner who manages the property, the rental side of the property, and make sure that we have the 5-star ratings that we have for the guests and everybody who's staying there. And so that's Nico and myself. Nicholas Pullings, he's the founding partner and developer. He's the main man. He's the guy that makes everything happen over there. He speaks Japanese, and he really has done an amazing job at building a small little family business that we are very focused on staying part of and building and increasing, and we're looking for people who would like to be part of that. And remember, we're owners within the property, so we're always going to be partners with anyone who does decide to join SnowDog, which has a big effect for anyone, because you know that the developer hasn't just sort of gone away. Our plan is to be there, and we're looking to the future to be there as part of this ongoing. And Vacation Niseko, I just want to show you this. One of the reasons we're working with them is because it is actually owned by Richard Lee. Now, Richard Lee owns Hanazono, one of the parts of the mountain where the Park Hyatt is, and Vacation Niseko is owned by them. And so that's an important part for us, was the fact that it had got plenty of money behind it. It was a very professionally run business, and they also wanted us to be part of their portfolio, which was also very important. And they do an amazing job. I'm very happy.
Yep. Again, I think it's a great testimony that you've got companies like this with, one of the richest families in Asia, I think, investing major hotel brands, which again is such a strong endorsement for Niseko and its future. Okay, so basically what we wanted to do was really show the true value, here from a price point and perspective against many other properties in the Niseko and Hirafu area, and just to give you an indication, this is in Japanese yen, but the 1-bedroom unit that we have available in SnowDog Village is priced at just over 58 million yen. There are about 4 or 5 2-bedroom units priced between 68 to 79 million yen, and the 3-bedroom penthouse is at 440, just over 440. Just under 440 million yen.
144.
Excuse me, sorry, thank you. 144 million yen. And when we compare this, you can just, glance down and compare with almost every other property that there is there, and see that the prices are anywhere from 2 to 3 times more expensive. Now, there may be some more bells and whistles on some of these properties, but maybe, Joe, you can share really what you feel in terms of value for money and the difference really between buying into what might be a 5-star branded property with lots of bells and whistles, which may appear very nice, but from an investment perspective, may not be always the best investment. But why don't you just share your hands-on experience of some of the other properties and some of the pros and cons?
Firstly, what I would like to share is the fact that Niseko, the properties that are being built in Niseko are very, very high quality. There is, which is, when you're looking as an investment into an area, you're looking at an area that is having serious investment capital being put in there. Excuse me. And Niseko really has got these incredible properties. So everything from New World Group, which is the Rosewood, Hinode Hills, which is YTL, which is Niseko, which is right near to where we are, to Sky, the Vale, Setsu, which is Setsu is a Japanese group. They are very high quality, they're great apartments that are being built, and all of them have they all have something about them that, I don't want to knock any of them. I don't want to, because there is no way I could knock them. They're well located. They have, if you were to buy one of their properties, you would be happy in those properties because they are great properties, and which I'm really proud of being part of an area that is doing so well with that. Now, what we feel though, with what we were looking when we were building SnowDog, is we were looking at being able to build a product that was maybe a little bit smaller in size, something that was designed where it would be like a home from home. So something where you could comfortably spend a lot of time there. If you wanted to spend a month, maybe longer, you'd feel very comfortable. But it was something also that we could rent for somebody who'd want to stay there just for 2 days. So we're looking, and then on top of that, the cost of keeping a property in Niseko is pretty high. So what we decided, well, let's make these properties smaller. Let's make them so that the cost of heating them is lower. Let's make the cost of looking after them regarding snow clearing, everything else is lower. So the property then becomes, one, more affordable if you're not renting it out, but 2, if you are renting it out, when you look at the price we're able to rent it at compared to the more expensive properties and the price that it costs us to keep that property, there is more of a differential for us, which means that we make a better return, just based on the fact that it doesn't. We've set it up so it doesn't cost so much, and we've done this by not having an onsen. But there are a million onsens just around the corner that cost nothing to go and stay at. So the cost of having an onsen is enormous, and it adds on, a lot to the purchase of the property, but hugely to the cost of keeping it. And you do not get a return based on that. So that was what we did, and we built this property as if we were never going to sell a property. So we were going to keep them all ourselves, as if we were going to. And then we set the management up as if we were going to keep it all ourselves. So we're making sure that the costs were right and the income was going to be a good income for that property. And subsequently, we've managed it and run the property so that we have all year round occupancy, and we are returning good returns to our owners. And the beauty of this as well is it's completed, so you literally get your keys, there's no risk, and you're getting immediate returns, which again, some of the other properties you're not able to do that in. So when we're comparing, if we're comparing orange with orange, we're not the same kind of property. But we have many things that we are the same. We are skiing, and a lot of those properties are skiing. Some of them are not even skiing. Like New World is not a skiing property, so our property is literally more than half the price of that. And many of the properties that you see in Harafu are not skiing as well, yet we're over half the price below those. So when we are skiing, we do have space outside because we've got the garden areas, which obviously a lot of the other properties don't, particularly in Harafu, because that's much closer and much more high rise. And so yeah, I mean, we built it so that it's much more of a place that you would like to go and spend and have time with, but also a skier would come and ski and then go off, and so you could maximize the return. So you can have, we've got sofa beds in all the apartments, so that the one bed can actually have 4 people staying in, not just 2, and the 2 bed can have 6 people staying in. So it's been designed to maximize returns but have maximum comfort as well if you want to use it yourself. The other really critical thing as well, which I'm not sure whether Richard has mentioned, we are the only property that has no limitation on usage. And now this is very important, and we did this for ourselves. This is very important because when resale comes and you have limitation on usage, you take out anyone who wants to spend a time there, and we have a lot of people there, and becoming more and more as you get digital nomads who are coming and they want to buy property and they want to spend 6 months of the year in Niseko, or they want to spend 3 months of the year in Niseko and use the rest of the time to pay for the rest of their travels around, wherever they're going to stay. So it is very important not to have limitation on usage, and we do not. So you can use it for you can not use it and it gets rented out. You can use it for 3 months and it gets rented out the rest of the time. You can use it for 2 weeks, it gets rented out the rest of the time, or you can use it all year round. And it's so flexible. It really is that flexible. So it's a great product.
And what limitations are there on other properties, just so we understand the difference between SnowDog and what limitations are on other places?
Normally 2 weeks, and 2 weeks in the summer normally. Right. It could be could be different, but every single property has limitations on that. I think there's one. Someone said the other day there was one other property, but I can't remember which one it is. But it's none of the ones that you see here. All have limitation usage. Yeah.
Yes, I remember going to a presentation earlier this year, and that's now you say that, Joe. I remember that you can buy the property as an investment. You might have 1 or 2 weeks in the winter, 1 or 2 weeks in the summer, but that's it. You cannot use it for an extended stay. So I get exactly what you mean now. Yeah. Okay, great stuff. Okay, we're nearly at the end, so I appreciate we're just running over time a little bit. So we're just going to be wrapping up in the next few slides. So property prices. Best price ski and apartments in Niseko. So the list price prior to the discount for the one bedroom unit was 600, and I'm quoting now in Singapore dollars because most of our listeners today were from Singapore, but I do appreciate there may be some from Hong Kong as well. If you are from Hong Kong, you can times it from, it's actually about 5.8 Hong Kong dollars to the Singapore dollar. So you can times it by that, or just under six to get into Hong Kong dollars. But the discount from a one bedroom is 643,000 is now 530,000. So that's at 17.5% discount. One of the 2-bedroom units is up to 20% discount, which takes from 831,000 to now 615,000. And the 3-bedroom penthouse at 1.7 million is now at just under 1.3 million. So again, you can see the huge discounts on top of the exchange rate and build costs make this an exceptional opportunity. Now, net returns are estimated based on the list price at 4%, but effectively, if you're getting a 20% discount off your purchase price, you could bump that net return potentially up to about 5%. It's 100% freehold ownership for foreigners. A turnkey ownership, as we've said, we can see that these properties are built, fully furnished, all ready to go, with landscape gardens in a beautiful countryside setting, and a fully managed 5-star rating on TripAdvisor. So it regularly gets top feedback from those people who've had the experience to stay there. Okay, let's just get into what we call the preview package. So if you were wanting to go and have a look at SnowDog and Niseko and experience it for yourself, then there is an opportunity to do so and have potentially a free trip within certain terms and conditions, assuming that you do go ahead and actually invest. So if you were, what we can do is put down a 5,000 reservation fee to hold the unit, then to travel to Niseko within 21 days. You can have 2 nights stay, possibly more, depending on the occupancy rate. So if you did really want to stay a few more nights, that's potentially possible. Pay for the flight on an economy flight, and have both airport pickup and a guided tour. So you'll be chauffeured from the airport to Niseko, so making the transit a real smooth experience as well. Now, this would be subject to a client completing on the purchase of the property. If for whatever reason, and we haven't experienced it so far, but if you were to go there and change your mind, what we would do is basically just factor in the cost of the flight and the night stays, and take that from the actual reservation fee. And I mean, one of the other conditions is that it wouldn't be available at peak times. It is subject to availability. So, times like Christmas, New Year, Chinese New Year at peak times, I think it's not unreasonable to say that you can't go then, because it will be fully booked, and there are.
It already is. It's already
okay.
fully booked. So it's not.
Okay,
it's just
well,
not even possible. Yeah.
Anyway, I think that the point is that there's a great opportunity that if you are genuinely interested, you can hold a unit, go see the unit, and then make your final decision, having had a wonderful experience in Niseko and SnowDog Village. So the next stage would be to pick your apartment, and we'd put it on hold, a 5,000 fee to hold that unit. Then within 21 days, paying the balance. Paying a 10% down payment and signing your contracts, and typically within about 4 to 6 weeks, then paying the balance of the 90% and handing over the keys for you to enjoy your property. Purchase taxes, as I've mentioned earlier, are between about 2 to 3%, so very low relative to many other countries. So that brings me to the end of the presentation, and we're going to go into a Q&A soon. But before that, I'm just going to play 1 or 2 videos. If you do wish to follow up, obviously you've got my contact details in front of you now. You can reach out to me by email or telephone. Joe is going to be in Singapore from Saturday evening, this Saturday the 18th. So we'll be available for meeting up one-to-one between the 19th, 20th, 21st, 22nd, and then flying back to Hong Kong on Thursday the 23rd. So there's a great opportunity now that you've heard about the wonderful property here. You can actually, if you have detailed questions and you're based in Singapore, of course, you have a great opportunity to meet myself and Joe one-to-one to address all of your questions. For those of you who didn't know, Joe is based in Hong Kong. So for those people on the call today, he lives in Hong Kong, is based in Hong Kong. So almost at any point in time can meet you in Hong Kong for a one-to-one appointment there as well. Now, I mentioned at the beginning that there is a chat box down at the bottom right-hand corner. What I would suggest is start typing any questions that you have in that chat box. And whilst you do that, I'm going to play a couple of videos. The first one is a YTL one, which is just a nice short overview of Niseko, and I think it showcases one of their hotels as well. So let me share the video. Just bear with me while I get it started, and hopefully so that's one video. Just bear with me a moment. I just need to come in and out of certain windows here. So let me play one other video, which is the SnowDog Village video. So this will give you more insight as well to SnowDog. Sorry about the pop-ups there at the end. Let me just go back. Okay. All right. So hopefully those videos give you a little bit more of a flavor and feel for Niseko and SnowDog Village. So let's open up the floor to questions. Have we got any questions? Okay, I don't see any questions in there at the moment. Please do feel free to put your questions into the chat box at the bottom right, and Joe and I would be delighted. I'm sure we haven't covered everything, so if there are any questions, don't be shy. Please feel free to pop those questions into the bottom right hand side. So Joe, what's sometimes some of the okay, hang on a sec, open queue. What are some of the common things that people might have some concerns about in terms of Japan? Have you seen the tourism industry and bouncing back since the opening of the borders in Japan?
Yeah, I mean the tourist industry has been absolutely insane, and we bounced. It really literally has bounced back. I mean, the issue we had last year was just being able to get staff quickly enough, because actually tourism came back pretty quickly, and so the issue in Niseko was getting staff. It just because of having COVID having been on for so long, and that no one international was allowed into the country, so that caused some issues. But no, we're very, very happy about what's happening now, and the way that Japan has literally, I mean, it literally is just as if it's just bounced straight back.
Right.
Okay. So I see a question here. What is the ownership structure? It's you own it freehold, just as if you would own any property in London or in anywhere in the UK. It's a freehold structure, and it's a very simple. It's one of Asia's best places to buy property in Japan, and SnowDog has been set up under that. Yes. Has any climate change assessment been made on the area, i.e. impact on winter tourism? It's a really good question, Irina. I've actually just written an article on it, which I could actually share with the group. What's interesting there, literally no. So it's everybody's talking about this, and is there an issue with the snow? It doesn't seem to be having an effect on Niseko. In fact, it seems to be having a sort of an opposite effect, and the snow seems to be getting greater. So yeah, I mean, at the moment there hasn't been any effect, and our snowfall has been pretty amazing. I'm going to share an article I've written, and it talks about, because snow is affected by weather change, and so there's El Nido and El Nino and El Nino, and the two different weather changes. And during typically in other areas, that are snow areas, they get greater snow during El Nino, and then snow drops drastically out. But when you look at the figures, which I will share, when you look at the figures, there isn't a huge difference. There is greater snow during the time that the El Nino, the weather pattern of the world, El Nino hits, but it's not a great difference. So I'll share this, have a read of it, and hopefully you can like it. And so who looks after the common area? So we do. So there is a maintenance company that has been set up to look after common area, to look after the property, the outside of the property. We also have insurance that we do take earthquake insurance, although as we all know, Japan is susceptible to earthquakes. But actually, interestingly, Hokkaido is one of the least susceptible ones, but we do take earthquake insurance just in case. And yeah, so it's all managed. It's managed incredibly well. So the place, when you look at the pictures and you look, in fact, I was just looking at a video that our general manager took the other day. The property that was showing, it was showing a video of not one of the properties for sale. This was one of the properties that have been lived in, used all the time, and we both said it was like new. So yeah, it's incredible. What would be the average rental fee in different seasons? It's hard to say average, because they come in different amounts during different types. So the prime winter season is from the 15th of December through to the 1st of March, and that's where you get the maximum winter season, and then you get maximum, and then you get amounts during the summer season, which relate to Japanese holidays and obviously other holidays around the world. And so it's hard for us to say. The best thing is to go and look on booking.com, and you can see yourself, because it's all live and it's all you can see exactly what kind of rental. But we are giving we have historic data, albeit obviously COVID changed things a bit, but historically we've been returning 4% net, around 4%. But as Richard said, during COVID, not COVID, because during COVID we did so well with the summer rental, we're expecting the rental over the next 2-3 years to be higher than that. Particularly maybe this year it'll be around 4% again, but ongoing from there we feel that it'll increase again. So what would the monthly management fee be per month? So the fee for a one bed is 1.2 million Japanese yen for the year, and 1.6 million for a 2-bedroom for the year. I'm not sure what that is per I'm not sure what that is on a monthly basis, but that covers everything, including things like we have snow clearing.
1.2 million, Joe, would be 100 what's that, 100,000 yen per month?
9,000 US, 9,000 US a year or something like that. And that includes everything, including a shuttle bus, the staff to run that, everything relating to that.
That's about 900 Singapore dollars, just so you know.
Okay, so is there any mortgages available for Japanese citizens? We'd love a Japanese citizens to try. I think if anyone's going to be able to get one, it will be a Japanese citizens. We have a number of Japanese buyers, but none of them have used a mortgage. They've all bought in cash. At the moment, for an international person, it's not possible. We just pre-COVID, it nearly happened. We had one person who was, but most people who bought with us, they bought cash. And particularly at the moment, because the exchange rate is so low, it makes more sense to use debt from somewhere else to purchase using this property, because you're taking you're ultimately what you're doing is a forex trade and using debt from maybe a property in Singapore or in Hong Kong or wherever, releasing equity, using that against, because the exchange rate is so hot, so low, so it makes sense to do that. But in the past we have we've come close to having more, but then every time they didn't do it. And then now after COVID, we haven't got a provider that will do a mortgage, but we haven't tried for a Japanese person, and that might be possible. I'm not sure. Something we could look into.
Okay, I am conscious of time. We're almost at 9:30, so we have overshot a little bit. So if people are still wanting to fire questions, we're happy to stay here, not all night, but certainly for a longer time. But if there are some of you that need to dial out, then I appreciate that.
And if you are, I mean, coming to Singapore on Saturday, I would love to meet any of you that have come on here. I'd love to buy you a coffee, come and meet me, talk. We're a very open company. After all, it's not a big project. So our owners, we know them all intimately. We know them very well because we meet them all the time. And so, yeah, it would be lovely to meet you under no pressure whatsoever. Happy to answer questions face to face and do everything like that. So let us know. Great to see you there. And thank you all for listening.
Great stuff. I'm just putting in my email address into the chat box as well. I did have it up a little bit earlier. Just bear with me for a moment. Okay. Great stuff. All right. Well, again, thank you very much for taking time out of your busy schedules. This has been a new webinar. It's the first time we've ever done a webinar on Japan property. So I hope you've learned a little bit, can see that there is a real window of opportunity in this property with the discount, the exchange rate, the fact that it was built before COVID and cannot be built at the same price. Is quite unique in terms of being extremely dog friendly, which becomes an attraction and is helping to make a name for itself as well as increase occupancy. So if there are any other questions, feel free to message me, call me, but ideally whilst Joe is in town early next week, let us know and we'll book in meetings. We are starting to get quite busy, so the sooner that you can get to me, we'll book in a meeting. And if you're not physically in Singapore or Hong Kong, I do know there's 1 or 2 people on the call that are from outside of those countries. We're more than happy to arrange for a virtual call as well. So anything's possible. We'll just be delighted to speak. So with that, thank you very much for your attendance. Keep a lookout. We do lots of educational events and we'd be delighted to be of service to you in the future. So have a good evening and we'll be in touch. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.